The terrifying roller coaster ride never ends when you have emotional symptoms of childhood trauma. So it can be anxiety, and that's because you're bracing for the unknown because there was so much unpredictability in your childhood that you just expect that there will always be something that's going to blindside you. It could also be that you always are analyzing the past, what happened, who said what you could have done differently, what you'll do next time something similar happens. And really, this is just so that way, if something does happen again, that's even remotely close to what you had happen when you were a child, you'll be able to prepare yourself for it. And so it just always keeps you in this emotional place where you're just always feeling unsettled. The other thing too is that depression can also be an emotional symptom of childhood trauma because it's just this lingering deep sadness and really this feeling of hopelessness and desperation that never leaves you because what you've experienced has just rocked you to your core and has really had such a devastating impact on you. Now, there's two sides to this coin, and this is the inability to express your emotions, or the opposite side of the coin, which is the uncontrollable anger and just rage that you have. So, if you have this inability to express your emotions, it's because you've tried to in the past and it hasn't worked well for you. You haven't been listened to, you've been told that you are wrong. And so you just feel like there's no point in even speaking up or telling someone what you think, what you feel, what you need, because it hasn't been received well in the past. The other piece of the puzzle is that there's just this uncontrollable sense of emotion raging in you, and you will just lash out at everyone and anyone that crosses your path. And so and it's not a one or the other, an all or nothing. You can go in between these two things as well. So there might be some people that you feel like you can't express your emotions with, but then there are some situations where you just can't help it and you're a ticking time bomb and you just come unhinged. And that's been the case. I've experienced both sides of the coin. But what happens is that we also can tend to withdraw and self-isolate because it's easier. We don't have to worry about expressing ourselves to others. We also don't have to worry about flying off the handle and becoming unhinged over the smallest thing. And so there's this reason that we're always on this roller coaster ride, this emotional roller coaster ride, is because we don't know how to regulate ourselves emotionally. We haven't been taught how to do that, how to cope and how to soothe ourselves. And so we now as adults don't know how to do that. And so we are always in that anxiety mode. We're in that depressive state. We're holding back, or we're completely all, an open book and then some. And so we have to, if we want to stop the roller coaster ride and get off, or at least ride the kiddie coaster instead of the adult coaster, we have to recognize that we are in this emotionally heightened state and that we're either feeling anxious, we're feeling depressive, we're not communicating our feelings, or we're over communicating. And so when we can have this awareness of our emotional state, then it allows us to take back that control so that we can start managing it again. So drop a comment below and let me know where you are on the scale. Are you the person with the constant anxiety? Are you the person who never speaks up for yourself? Or are you the person who's completely unhinged? So tell me where you are on this scale of emotional symptoms from childhood trauma. I'd love to hear. And then also, I'll just share a little quick snippet of where I was. So I was the anxious person, although I didn't realize that I was anxious. It took my therapist to say to me, "Do you consider yourself to be an anxious person?" For me to say, "Oh, maybe I am." But I was that constant overanalyzer. I was always thinking about the past, wondering if I could have done something differently, if I should have said something differently, if I should have worn something different, if I should have, gone different. It was just this constant thought loop. And sometimes I'd have a really hard time falling asleep at night because my brain would just go and go and go and go and go and go and go. But then I was also bracing for the unknown. So I was always worrying about what was ahead. I would get nervous to go to my daughter's school because I didn't know which parents were going to be there, who I was going to interact with, if my kids were going to have a temper tantrum in front of everybody, and then I was going to feel like an idiot. So I was always also bracing for the unknown, but I never considered that self to be uh, something that is considered to be anxiety. And then also there's the double-sided coin of expressing emotions. So a lot of times I just kept what I was feeling to myself because I hadn't been heard in the past. And so I felt like it was just a waste of my breath, a waste of my time to speak up because I didn't want to be told that I was wrong for those feelings or those thoughts. And so I would just stuff it down, stuff it down, stuff it down until it couldn't go down anymore. And then it would just come erupting like a volcano. And I would spew my anger and my frustration and my overwhelm all over everyone, especially when I felt like I wasn't being heard. So I was in my early 20s and my window on my car was broken. And so I didn't have $500 to get it fixed, but I did have $30 to get the window guards. And so when I placed the order for the window guards, the auto supply store put it under my stepdad's name and called, and my mom said, "We didn't order those, go ahead and cancel the order." Well, that infuriated me that the store put the order under my stepdad's name instead of my name. And I drove there very angrily to the store, stormed into the place, and demanded that my order be taken care of. The poor man at the counter was completely blindsided by the wrecking ball that I was bursting into this place. And granted, it was all men in there. It was an automotive store, and I was the only woman, the only female in there. And as I got angry and angrier, because their explanation for why they canceled my order made zero sense. They said it was my wife who canceled the order. They said they had it under my name and that everything they had was correct. But I was like, I am not a man, so I do not have a man's name. And I was pounding my fists on the counter, and everybody in the store just slowly backed away from me. And before I knew it, I had probably a 10-foot radius around me that was probably their safe zone, thinking this lady is insane. What is her deal? And we are staying far, far away from her. So we jokingly, my husband now, we all jokingly call that an AutoZone moment because that's the store that I was in. So I just had no ability to control my emotions because I wasn't really good at expressing them because I hadn't really practiced, because I kept them so suppressed, because on the few times that I had shared, it didn't go well for me. So where are you? Are you on the adult roller coaster that's, got the big ups and downs, or are you on the kiddie coaster that has a little ups and downs that are more manageable? So drop in the comments below and let me know. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so glad that you found this video because I hope that you find it helpful. And if so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.